It's not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it. Seneca said that. This anxiety-inducing quote seems to be more relevant than ever, especially in the 21st century. Ah yes, the 21st century. An era filled with instant gratification and distraction. A match made in heaven for procrastination. But this makes me ask the question, are you a procrastinator? Don't get me wrong, we all do it, some more than others. But why do we procrastinate? And does it even affect your life? Most importantly, can we stop procrastinating?
At the start of a big project, time is abundant. You wallow in its elastic embrace. You make a few passes at getting down to it, but nothing makes you feel wholeheartedly engaged. If the job can be forgotten, you'll forget it. Then the day arrives when you really intend to get down to work. But suddenly, it's just something you don't feel like doing. You can't get traction. Every time you try to wrap your mind around it, something distracts you, defeating your attempts at progress. So you forward your task to a date with more hours, only to find that every tomorrow seems to have the same 24. At the end of each of these days, you face the disquieting mystery of where it went. This goes on for a while. Eventually, time's limited nature reveals itself. Hours once tossed carelessly away becomes increasingly limited and precious. That very pressure makes it hard to get started. You want to get going on the big project, but instead you take on peripheral chores. You clean your office or clean your email. You exercise. You shop and cook. Part of you knows this isn't what you should be doing, and so you say to yourself, I'm doing this. At least I'm preparing by doing something. Eventually, it's too late in the day to really get started. So you may as well go to bed, and the cycle of avoidance starts again with the dawn.
Straight off the bat, we will be discussing on why people procrastinate, not on what.
So procrastination usually involves unnecessary and unwanted delay of tasks. It could be based on decision-making, implementing, or on time management. But here's where things get more interesting. Usually when procrastination comes to mind, it seems to go hand in hand with school or academic work. Maybe it's because the most prolific procrastinators acquired their skill of avoidance and delay from their time at school. But if we really think about it a bit more, we see that this pattern of putting off tasks seems to follow us well into our adult lives. Why? Because procrastination is tied to our behaviors. Much like behaviors, procrastination too follows a pattern, and I think Pierce pointed out that pattern perfectly.
In order to better understand procrastination, we must look back into the past. Procrastination seems to be as old as the human species.
From an evolutionary life history perspective, Chen and Chang argued that the procrastinator lives by a fast life strategy with a psychological time orientation on the present. Such a fast life strategy has been functional in unpredictable environments during evolution, fostering impulsivity, high risk-taking, overlooking consequences, and discounting the future. However, as contemporary life emphasizes planning, personal control, and accountability, a fast life strategy has become maladaptive. Accordingly, research has amply documented that procrastination is closely linked to impulsivity, with a preference for instantly gratifying options rather than more beneficial long-term goals. So, humans have evolved to prioritize things that are happening in the moment. This instant gratification is more reinforced by the myriad distractions the 21st century has to offer. Now that we know procrastination is somewhat built into our systems, it seems that we have to look at it from a different perspective. We have to look at procrastination as a self-defense mechanism. While the effects of procrastination might be harmful for mental health, as it brings stress and feelings of guilt, it also seems to work as a wall for blocking off the stress associated with the task at hand. By diverting our minds, we momentarily forget about our issues. The reason why we procrastinate then could stem from self-worth. In reality, we do not only delay academic work, but we also put off things that we like. The putting off of these goals and projects can be seen as a self-protection mechanism, because the burden of not being able to get the recognition or rewards is just too much for us to handle. We often see people who are procrastinating refer to it as being stuck. What they mean is that they are stuck between the idea of failure and the allure of success. The reason procrastination is so deeply tied into our senses of self-worth is because how we perform on a task reflects on our ability, which in turn reflects on our worth. There is actually a theory called the self-worth theory that talks more in depth about this. Procrastination does indeed affect your life, as it can become a habit which finds its way to almost all aspects of your life, from work to even a doctor's appointment. If left unchecked, procrastinators often become agents of self-sabotage because of a lack of confidence or a lack of coordination.
1, 2, 3, 4. The Eagle has landed.
But just like any behavioral habits, you can implement small changes in your life to make your procrastination problem more manageable. Personally, I follow these 3 rules. Rule number 1, set a timer for a task. For me, I set 20-minute timers for activities I do. Usually, the first initial 10 to 15 minutes are uncomfortable, but once I ease into the task, I forget about the timer. If you can't seem to ease into your work, you can start with a smaller time limit or reset the timer and start over. Rule number 2, take a walk. This is extremely helpful. You are actually more at ease and better equipped to think when you are out walking. If you can't seem to focus on your work and have the urge to distract yourself, then walking might be a healthy way to get back in form. Rule number 3, reward yourself. Create a system of work where you reward yourself for completing a task. This is extremely personalized, so you can use your imagination and create a system where you find yourself working in anticipation of the reward you're about to receive. But remember, do not treat yourself before the completion of the task. Since overcoming procrastination requires practice, if you manage to put in the work to overcome it, soon it will become a habit for you. This can also strengthen your performance and your ability on whatever tasks you do.
Thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and remember to subscribe to my channel and like this video. Also, on a side note, you guys have a lot of time, especially in this quarantine, so stop wasting time and start getting down to work. Like Raif, look at him, he's working. Yeah.